Hi everyone, this is Mickie DeVries and I'm going to show you how I create a black and white from this image of my daughter. It's a little bit underexposed and it doesn't really do anything for me in color. I had her sit in front of my garage just on the edge of the shade so that she would be lit by the sunlight, get some light into her eyes, but then the rest of the garage would kind of fall off into shadow. Obviously you can still see my cars there. I knew I would be able to. I couldn't move them, but really that's just kind of a pain. And I knew that I was going to convert it to black and white, and it's just pretty easy in Lightroom to get rid of them, especially when it's in black and white. The reason why I knew I wanted to process this in black and white is you can't totally tell in the color, but she was filthy. Her shirt is really dirty, if you could see that, but you can see some of the dirt on her knees. She had had an ice cream cone or a popsicle and it had dripped down. She's got some dirt on her face. I really like her freckles. They really show nicely in black and white. So really for this picture, I just wanted to really accentuate the dirt and just that this is summer and you're dirty and you're playing outside, and that's kind of the feeling I was going for. And I knew I could do that pretty easy in black and white and draw those details that I really wanted to focus on out more in black and white than what I could do in color. So my go-to black and white is by using a preset. I can get a similar look if I do it on my own. However, that just takes more time, and you know, we're all busy. I like to save some time. So my favorite black and white preset is the CM Titanium preset. Let me find that a second. I have some adjusted versions saved, but I'm going to start with the one you would get if you, I gotta find it. I moved it. Okay. It's in the Film Art preset. So here it is. And already my cars disappeared quite a bit. Sometimes I leave the grain in and sometimes I don't. And this one, I don't think I'm going to leave that grain in. So what I'm going to first do is come down here to the grain and just take it out. Just a personal preference. I don't mind a little bit in, but I think I'm just going to take it out for this shot. The other thing I do is I go into my graduated filter and I hit reset. I like some of what that does, but it adds kind of a fuzziness that I don't always want in my picture. So usually I reset that, not always, but in general I do. The next thing I do is I up this clarity quite a bit because I like what it does. You can see where it's bringing out freckles. Let me reset it by double clicking there. You know, it's flatter. But when I do this, it's just really showing freckles and dirt and grime, and that's exactly what I'm going for. I don't know if I'll put it up quite that hard, but I'm going to go with plus 48 there. Now, I'm not worrying about the background yet. I'm just going to worry about her face. I definitely want to bring out the dirt even more and kind of give her a little bit more contrast. I could try adding a little contrast here. I don't mind adding just a tad bit there, but I'd rather do some work with the adjustment brush. So I'm going to open up the adjustment brush, and if you double click here on the effect, you'll reset everything. So I'm going to take the clarity brush, I'm going to up it a little bit. Something that's important to know, when I use my adjustment brush, I pretty much don't mess with these settings down here. I leave my feather at 25, my flow at 45, and my density at 68. And I almost never use the auto mask option. I just don't like what it does. It can leave bits, just kind of little artifacts in places that I don't want, that it doesn't completely cover when I'm trying to cover things. So I don't like that. So I leave that off. But having the flow and density turned down, I can build up the effect rather than having it come on really strong in the beginning. So I'd much rather do that. So I am going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to hit the one-on-one here. Let me, oops, kind of get in these freckles. You can see the tip of her nose is out of focus too, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to kind of paint in on these freckles a little bit, just to make them a little bit darker. And here's some dirt on her face. I'm going to go over that with a clarity just to kind of make it even more pronounced. I'm going to put it over her lips. Anywhere I'm kind of seeing dirt, I'm just kind of on her knee here. I'm going to worry about her legs a little bit more a little bit later. But while I'm zoomed into, when I use that titanium preset, it does kind of darken my eyes a little bit more than I would prefer them to be darkened. So while I'm here, I'm going to hit new, and then from this drop down list for where I hit custom, I'm going to hit dodge, and I am just going to kind of lighten those up a little bit. I'm mainly going to the highlights, but I am even going a little bit on the iris just to kind of lighten them up a little bit. And I'm going to zoom out to see what that looks like to make sure they're not crazy. They might be a little bit crazy, so I could bring down. I'm going to actually use my arrow key on my keyboard to just go up a little slowly. I think right there is okay. I don't want them to be too crazy. Okay, now I'm going to hit new again, and I'm going to leave it on dodge, but I'm going to come in where I already see some blonde bits of her hair. I'm just going to run my brush over those just to kind of bring them out a little bit more. Just to kind of add some depth here. And I might even just kind of, I could dodge a little bit. Her knees are already kind of bright. I don't want them overly bright. Now I'm going to hit new again, and I'm going to change this to burn. And again, just kind of where I'm already seeing some shadows in her hair, I'm just going to add to that. I might even burn her lips. Well, I'm going to do Control Z to get rid of, I didn't like that last stroke on her lips. I'm going to burn her dirt a little bit more. And this is a little bit bright, which takes away from her face, I think, a little bit. So I'm going to burn down that knee just a tad bit. And I'm maybe going to burn her shirt just a little bit. So, because my eye is kind of drawn right here because it's the brightest spot of the frame. So I'm just going to burn that a little bit. I'm going to hit new, and I'm going to burn it a little bit more, in fact. And you can see the shadow right between her arm and stuff. I'm going to burn that a little bit just to bring that out. Down in here. Just anywhere I kind of already see a shadow, I like to bring that out. Okay, she's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to hit new, and I'm going to up my clarity a little bit more and see if I can't bring out that ice cream drip a little bit. Go back over the knee a little bit. Okay. Now her face still looks a little bit dark to me, so I'm going to hit new again. I am going to increase my exposure. This is probably too much, but almost to 1, and my contrast to about, I don't know, 20 or so. And I'm just going to kind of brighten her skin just a little bit. I think I'm going to probably pull back this a little bit, but I just want to brighten a little bit. So now I'm going to pull back on both of those a little bit. And actually I'm going to drag down the highlights just a tad bit where, well, no, I'm not going to. I think that's good. Alright, now I'm going to hit new again. And this is kind of my last step. I'm going to get rid of the rest of the vehicles. So if I double click effect, again, these reset. I'm going to pull my exposure, my contrast, my highlights, and my shadows all the way down. I'm going to make a nice big brush, and I am just going to paint over those. And again, my flow is low. I have to kind of go over it. Oops. Control Z if you go too close. I don't mind though if I had stuff closer to her hair, if I caught the edges of it a little bit so you didn't get that halo look. Now I'm going to hit new again. With those same settings, I am just going to bring the exposure not so down a little bit. And I think I'm going to just come in here. I don't mind how the light changes there, but I think I'm just going to make it her stand out a little bit more. That's a little too crazy for me though. Sometimes I do totally black out the background, but I kind of like it with just a little bit. I'm just going to play around with these a little bit. Oops. Okay. I think I like that. That's just personal preference. I still feel like she could use a tad bit more contrast, so I'm going to just try to see if I can do my overall contrast a little bit more. And yeah, I think I'm about done, except for I'm going to crop it now. I always pretty much crop last unless my horizon is totally crazy and I can't stand to even edit it. I'm a very crooked shooter, but I like to crop at the end in general. So I'm going to hit my crop. I'm going to hit L on my keyboard 2 times to darken up my screen. It just lets me see where I'm going for a little bit easier. And I think that looks good to me. All right, and there's my edit. Let me show you the before. Oh, hold on. We'll do it a different way. Here's them side by side. So I kind of take this picture, which is really nothing to write home about, and I just really show up the dirt and grime of childhood. I really just want this image to speak childhood, and I feel like my edit does that, and that's what I was going for. So there you have it. Thank you.